Hello world of YouTube and welcome to another episode of ARC, the show where I get to be an asshole reviewing comics. And today we are continuing our year-long Rush celebration in the comic book world by looking at the digital comic that is a tribute and retelling of one of Rush's most popular songs, 2112. Now I have all of it on here, so if I gesture to my phone or if I try to show you, I can't. So I'm just going to have panels, reference panels, on screen, which is different for the show, but leave it to Rush to have something worth talking about that I can present in a different fashion than I normally do for this show. Now, the song 2112, like I said, one of the most beloved pieces of Rush's catalog. It's this huge, epic, progressive tune that this comic does a great job at visualizing, or at least creating an atmosphere for the comic, or for the song itself to kind of be a backdrop to. Something that other mediums have also done. Guitar Hero did a whole level dedicated to 2112 with narration from Alex and Getty, which I also really love, and I feel like if you're gonna listen to it while flipping through this not very long comic book, that would be the way to do it, because their commentary injects some more atmosphere to the song itself. But the comic does a good job at portraying the world as it was in the comic, you know, full of destruction, and this apocalyptic tone is set in the beginning. There's ruins in this world, and it's very spacey. It's a space-ass comic, and it's broken up into the pieces of the song itself. So you have the overture, you have the Temple of the Sphinx. You know, this comic does a good job at having good bookends to each sequence, or having a good opening to each sequence. The story of 2112 is there's a world where art is done. No one arts. No one does an art. No one can fart out art. And there's this group of leaders known as the Temple of the Sphinx that keep that law in order. Moreover, they are priests of the Temple of the Sphinx, but you get what I'm saying. Until one man discovers, while on his farm, art. The art of rock. In the form of an acoustic guitar. He's just chilling with an acoustic guitar. And again, it's very indebted to its time. It's very digital comic art. It has a very digital comic aesthetic to its art style. But I have no issue with that. And I think that it coincides with the subject matter of the song really, really well, oddly enough. I love the design of the main character. I love the scene when he does find the guitar, and you see him kind of tuning it and playing it and learning, feeling this sort of connection to it in a very spiritual way. It again embodies what's so cool about the song itself. And I love that part of it, and I love that he decides to come to the Temple of the Sphinx to blow their fucking minds. Jack Black in the beginning of the Pick of Destiny style. Then I sliced his fucking cockles with a long and shiny blade. With his own presentation of this old art. That is rejected, obviously, because it is not the way. It is not the way of the Temple of the Sphinx. Forgot how to speak during this section, but I like how this part of the story does a good job at illustrating his visions with the past oracles of rock in the form of the guys of Rush. They're in it, and that's really cool. Only they aren't from the past. They're in 2112 as the people who come and save rock and roll. Who come in with the well-known line, the attention all planets of the Solar Federation. We have assumed control. They are the ones who assume control. And then it has representations of the rest of the 2112 album as well, with a Passage to Bangkok, not really referencing weed, but that is a weed jam if you didn't know. They take it very literally in the artist representation, but I don't mind that. I think it's a safer bet, and I think it's a tasteful way to do it in tandem with the sci-fi epic. But they do have a little nod to wink with the 420K in the bottom there. And then we have the Twilight Zone, obviously, which is all in black and white, and it has a page just kind of in tribute to the man with the third eye, but the black and white sort of aesthetic for the Twilight Zone. I think again, the art in that's really cool. I like the design of the man with the third eye. I think, again, it fits the art style that the comic is going for. And then Lessons, again, kind of reinforcing the album's themes for having its emotional moment with tears and then Something for Nothing with it's the weakest of the ones, the Something for Nothing, because it's just the one picture with a lot of text beneath. I feel like that's the weakest part of this whole sequence, but it's still really cool. And I think it's, again, this is the power of the Rush community. I don't know who wrote this. I don't know who drew it. I've been doing research looking into it, but I think that it is a great representation of the themes of 2112, represented really well. I think it's a good adaptation of the comic book, and it's free. The digital version is free, so if you want to read this, if you want to, sit down with this record, if you've never experienced it, throw it on. Again, if you're reading through or looking through the comic itself, I would listen to the Guitar Hero Warriors of Rock commentary version, but I think it's a version that goes really well in tandem with this before just spinning the record proper for the B-side and listening to Passage to Bangkok through the end. Yeah, I don't know. This is a shorter episode this month because there's not really much to talk about character development or anything like that. It's just a representation of a thing. There's also a video version of this as well if you'd rather watch that instead of scrolling through a website. I'll link to both in the description. Yeah, Rush published like a version of this comic online on YouTube with the song playing with it. So if you want to do that as well, it's an option. But yeah, 2112. It's got a cool comic book. In case you didn't know, but yeah, that's about it this month. 2112 rules. 2112 kicks ass. Rush kicks ass, and this was my tribute to them. Just telling you about this cool thing that exists thanks to the Rush community. If you enjoyed this video of ARK, which is again shorter than the typical episode of ARK, be sure to give it a like. If you want to see more of my music, gaming, and general nerdery content, be sure to subscribe. Special thanks to my patrons. If you would like to join their ranks, linked in the description is my Patreon. Get early access to content, exclusive content, and you help drive the community. Next ARK, I'm going to be diving into a Spider-Man comic that deals a lot with dramatics and spirituality in its own way. And it has another special guest in tandem with Spider-Man that you'll find out about in the next episode. But either way, I'm going to get out of here. I've been Valrak. You guys have good days, lives, situations, and I'll see you another day.